listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner. Support us at patreon.com/After Movie Diner. Or I'll punch you in the teats. Rate and review us on iTunes, Earthling. And now, here's your host, John Cross.
I'm going to put it there. Is that all right?
There.
There, I'm going to put it there.
No, it's pronounced there.
It's not pronounced there.
It is.
So it's really
It is
exciting.
a good George Harrison.
I get very excited. Okay. However many years we've been doing this,
Yeah.
but I get very, very excited when we get to go to a new diner. And not only that, but when we get to go to a new diner, which has been around a long time, is a neighborhood-centric diner and is 24 hours. That it's almost the jackpot in New York City.
And it's a window seat and it's raining.
And it's a window seat and
And it
it's
was
raining.
close to the cinema.
And it was close to the cinema.
Got utterly soaked trying to get to
And it has like Tiffany lampshades, which are amazing. And it's just everything I want, so I'm hoping the food's good.
I'm going to get a Buffalo burger.
We are in the Chelsea Square Diner. And I don't know what square.
Good, thanks, mate.
it's referring to, but,
Yeah, can I get a cup of English breakfast tea? Okay. With milk, please. Thank you very much. What do you want?
I am fine with the water, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And I love perusing like a new diner menu. Now, I do have to say for the listeners, the diner menu has like that noise, which I love in person, but when I listen back to the recording, I'm always like...
Is that why you always give me dirty looks whenever I look at the menu?
Oh my God, have you just seen how the heavens have just opened up again?
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, we've got another monsoon outside. Oh well, look, it's due to do this all night, so I'm getting wet no matter what. I've just got to kind of...
I guess that's somewhere on 23rd Street.
The sea is the closest, but that doesn't help you at all. It goes up and down the west side. Do you want to go up and down the east side? I mean, you could get the C down to 14th and then get the L all the way over to Union Square and then the Q up from
Sounds
there.
pretty good. What are you going to do?
No, I've got to do that anyway. I've got to get... Oh, no, I can actually get the C to nearby where I live.
You know what you like? 1 minute?
No, I'm still looking. Sorry, we're new to the diner, so we're just engaging in the menu.
Sort of like he's gauging with you.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. And I don't blame him because I just said some really weird things to him.
It wasn't weird.
It was
It was
weird.
unnecessary.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
All right, okay.
Let me just ask you a question.
All right.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
So here we go.
Do I have to answer the question?
Would
That
you
you're about
watch
to
a
ask
movie?
me?
Here's
Yeah.
a question.
Okay.
Would you watch a movie?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In which the ending, and
Yeah.
I'm just asking, was that the grumpy person won? It didn't learn any like huge life lessons. Just the grumpy person was right
All along.
Or no. Well, maybe they were right all along, wrong, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, instead of everyone around them making them a better person to be around, actually, they made everyone else see the truth of the hideousness of existence. And while no one was happier for it, they were technically more enlightened and therefore better off.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of people's first screenplays take that
Take that
form, and what happens is they're not very good.
Is that what it is?
I think that's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Surprisingly, most writers of screenplays start out being quite grumpy and pretty convinced that they're the only ones that really understand why it's worth being grumpy about the world.
But it is worth being grumpy.
I agree. I'm not saying it's not. You know, it just it doesn't make very good cinema.
We had one note recently where one listener...
yeah, but we never get any notes.
We never get any
So for all we know,
Yeah.
right, this
Yeah.
one note
Yeah.
represents the feelings
Represent-
of
yeah.
all.
Right.
I mean, we have no
We have no.
way of knowing.
We have no.
We have no.
We have no.
Yes, we have no notes from the listeners.
We got one note recently where...
It was less than me, wasn't it?
No. It was about they liked Angry Me. It was Mark Burns talking about the Detective Pikachu episode. They liked Grumpy or Angry Me,
Right.
and they wanted to feel the wrath through the podcast.
I don't think I'm going to enjoy this podcast.
They
very
wanted
much,
the
am
wrath
I?
to come
I'm going to be
out.
wiping the spittle off my nose.
No. You can't. To be honest, the film that we saw, which we saw as a preview screener.
We were like press.
We were like
probably
press.
people from the New York Times were there with us. So basically, we're the same as the people from the New York.
There was also an old man down the front who looked like the bearded guy from Home Alone who hits the guy with the shovel.
We can't go to a cinema in New York without a homeless man in the front row. I'm surprised he didn't stretch out and try and have a nap.
Oh, this is great, by the way. I don't know if people remember, but and what's wonderful is that people will be listening to this because it's like a preview episode, like it's a special, like it's the late night or whatever it was. Oh yeah, that's coming out on Amazon. I'll check out this podcast all about it, and then they'll be like, wait, this is all grumpy old middle-aged white men, and they're doing bits from previous episodes. However,
this is not going to stop you.
I don't care.
It's not going to stop you
because unlike the subject of this movie, I'm not going to learn any lessons. I'm not going to pander. I'm not going to try to be more interesting. Hang on a second. Right. I'm just going to continue with my
we said we would be allowed to interrupt each other.
No, we would. But I just want to say this one thing. You know how in the past we've talked about bum cop, and we've talked about how, for people who don't know, bum cop is an idea that Jim and I had where in the same style of The Mentalist or Castle, or there was a whole string of TV series at the time where people who weren't cops got to be cops.
Do you know what you want yet?
I do, yes.
Okay, me too. Can I get the buffalo burger? Well done.
Buffalo burger?
Yeah, the buffalo burger, yeah. Well done. With cheese and bacon. Cheddar cheese.
Okay. No fries?
No fries for me, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Can I get the chicken fingers served with fries?
Okay. I got it.
Could I, what dips do you have? Can I get a honey mustard and a ranch?
No
Just a little dip of each.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
I got honey mustard.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. So,
Chin chin, mate.
Chin
Just
Chin.
to say, it's a pleasure to be here with you in a brand new diner,
Brand new
on a
diner.
rainy New York night, with wet socks,
yeah,
and a warm heart.
Wet socks and a warm heart.
Wet socks and warm hearts, sitting in a diner out of the rain. Old Molly pours the coffee, thick like shag carpet, black like the cloak of the night. She misses Vince. 10 years last Tuesday they put him away. Lenny's dealing cards in the corner booth while Buster's grab the darts. Each of them got wet socks and warm hearts.
I will be playing the warm-hearted, what's the word? Counterpoint to your grumpy old man.
With wet socks.
And I will win you round by the end of the podcast. But you will grow.
I will. Anyway, so Bum Cop was an idea that we had for a comedy sketch which would be based on the fact that there was a lot of TV shows in which people who weren't cops or weren't lawyers or weren't doctors got to be all those things just because of sheer magic. Yeah. And we thought it would be hilarious, especially in New York, to have like Bum Cop, who's essentially a homeless person, but they help the police with their inquiries, but also urinate all over crime scenes and throw up in dumpsters. And I came up with something the other day because a really funny guy on Twitter who I just found out about yesterday, who does all these things like, like lately people on Twitter have been doing like, list your 5 favorite movies that really mean something deep and important to you. He did this thing where he was like, list the 5 movies that don't really exist that you've seen the most. And it was all just like made up like puns and whatever. And I came up with Bum Cop 2, Hobo You Didn't, which I thought was amazing.
I do like that.
It's good, right?
Yeah, I do.
Hobo You Didn't.
Hobo You Didn't.
Yeah.
I like that very much.
I also came up with Whoops Academy, back to Whoopsin.
No, I definitely prefer.
No, I know, but like back in training.
No, I get it. You just didn't want to say it wasn't a one joke list. You know what I mean? The other points on the list,
but Bum Cop 2,
just as good.
Hobo You Didn't, I thought was
that is
pretty great.
That is great.
Anyway, I thought I'd let you know that.
Thanks.
Anyway, Yes, we're talking about the late night or just late night?
I think it's just late night.
Just late night. Just late night. No V. They've cut that right off, got rid of it right away.
It's a mark of the modern movie.
It is. They've looked at
You
it. They've
lose extraneous prepositions.
how do we shorten this title to just something snappy the kids will love? Late night, boom, done.
They should have come to us, mate, because we know what the kids like.
We do. That's why our demographic skews towards the 60s.
I
late
mean,
60s.
this movie is for us. I mean, it is really.
It is really.
Kind of.
We're kind of in the demographic. And let me explain why.
Foot to why, mate.
Foot to why.
Give me the foot to why.
So the foot to why that it is for us, but also for everybody. Well, because it is, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's definitely
It's
true.
for everybody. It's because it's about comedy and writing.
Yes.
And behind
TV.
a late night TV show, which, even though in the UK is a relatively new concept, like Jonathan Ross and
Graham
Norton have really taken it in the last 10 years in the American style. That wasn't really what we grew up with, apart from Parky. And Parky is more like, Michael Parkinson is more like your...
Disgraced PBS host? Charlie Rose?
No. He's not like Charlie Rose. He's more... No, there's an American equivalent. He's really good. I really like him. He interviewed John Lennon. He interviewed Rob Mitchum. He interviewed Orson Welles. He interviewed Lucille Ball. Back in the 70s and 80s.
I know who you mean.
He had
Can't think of
Groucho
his
Marx
name.
on a bunch. He was like a New York Jewish, rubbish kind of guy.
Yes, I can't remember his name.
He's really good, though,
Yeah,
and I
he is
really like
good.
him.
He is really good. Yeah, longer interviews.
Longer interviews, normally
in-depth,
just one or two guests.
big celebrities.
They didn't have like a band or anything.
Oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember his name. It's really annoying.
Well, I will insert it here. Ooh, missus! I will insert it here. His name.
Dick Cavett. His name is Dick Cavett.
But he was really good, and he was more like the chat shows we would get in the UK.
Yes.
However, being fans of comedy, such as we are, and growing up in a world where there was a certain level of Americanization of things. The Lettermans of the world, and even the Johnny Carsons of the world, and the Lenos of the world were prominent-ish. I mean, I was like an SNL fan, and I would watch clips of Letterman in like documentaries and things or whatever. Like, I was aware of it. I was aware of the format, and I was interested in it. And then I think once the internet came in, there was a lot of like, oh, I'll look at clips and things like that. And then your Scottish chap did a show post after Letterman.
Craig Ferguson.
I liked him very much.
Yeah, I love Craig Ferguson.
He was really good at it.
Ever since Red Dwarf. But I liked him. I liked his show because it was weird.
Yes, it was.
I wasn't expecting that from like an American prime time
No, well, I
show
think-
like that. I wasn't expecting it to be so weird.
Well, I think what he did, which I really liked about it, was he was, well, I'm the show after the show everyone cares about, and I'm essentially doing a mock-up of that show in a cupboard, 5 studios down. So why don't I just acknowledge that? Like, it's almost, if you're going to do a show in a cupboard for David Letterman, let's see how far we can kind of go with that. And to be fair, when Letterman was the late, like before he was the Late Show, he was like the Late Show. He was the one who followed whoever was before him. And his original show was much weirder. Like when you watch old clips of Letterman with the old set where, he would have Murray on and he would have Waits on and he would have Crispin Glover on or whatever. Like he would have like a sling of weird people on. His show was sort of a lot odder and weirder, and he would have stranger guys. In fact, I would urge anyone to go back and kind of watch clips of Letterman like from his heyday, because he's kind of, there's a reason why people talk about him in the exalted tones that they do. More so
I
than
just
Leno.
have to say,
Leno.
but very quickly,
Yeah.
I like the use of the word exalted there.
Thank you.
Because you know why I liked it so much?
Why?
Because you searched for it briefly in your brain, and then your brain came back with it.
Yeah.
And so much of my life these days is my brain not coming back with the word that I'm searching for.
Right.
And then
Well, it wasn't even the word I was
No, but
searching
it was
for.
great, but it was the perfect word. It was apposite.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Apposite.
I'm just, this is the warm-hearted.
Anyway, so that is all to say, coupled with the Emma Thompson of it all, another big presence, I would say, growing up, both from her comedic roots. People in this country might not know, but Emma Thompson comes from comedic sketch comedy roots, starting out with Hugh Laurie, who people, again, over here, don't necessarily know about Blackadder and Fry and Laurie in the way that they know
Cambridge
about House. But yes, Emma Thompson was part of that sketch comedy group. She did some sitcom stuff. She did some sketch show stuff.
What sitcom stuff did she do?
There was one. It only ran for like a season in the UK, like in the 80s. But it was kind of like a Young Ones-esque thing, but with all those guys in it, Fry, Laurie, and Thompson, and I forget what it was called. But yeah, she's done a bunch of stuff in the UK. She probably best known over here, or her first biggest thing was probably Sense and Sensibility. Before that, Peter's Friends.
Yeah, she was kind of like Branner. She was all Branner. And when it was like, oh, everything's Branner, everything's coming up Branner. And he was married to her, right?
Yes, he was, yes.
And she was like, oh, she's married to Branner. And now...
Until he cheated with Helena Bonham Carter, allegedly.
Well, all we know now is that Branner...
Yeah.
Didn't he used to be married to Emma Thompson?
Yes. Right. It's flipped.
It's flipped.
They flipped it. They flipped it.
They flipped it for real.
They flipped it for real. But no, she's always been a delight. She's always been a national treasure. She's always been very witty, always very outspoken, and I think just a general all-round groovy kind of person.
Although I'm not sure I've seen her as she is in this in a flat-out leading role. Because even Sense and Sensibility, she's sort of the...
Well, she wrote it. That was her
Right. But I'm just saying, but in terms of an actual, just like a leading role...
You didn't watch Nanny McPhee?
Yeah, but again, that's more like a star turn, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a leading role in the same way.
Okay. All right.
You know what I mean?
Yes. All right. I'll give you that. I'm trying to think.
I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm saying... I've never seen Nanny McPhee, so I could just stop there. But I've never seen her in a leading role.
But she's known as a writer, producer, actor. She's a triple threat, a multi-hyphenate presence, and we all
isn't triple threat sing, dance, and act?
She can sing.
I think that's triple. Oh no, I'm just saying. I think that's the official.
Are you denying Thompson's pipes?
I have no idea as to the veracity
of her pipes. There was also a lesser-known Mel Smith film called The Tall Guy, in which she is in...
Oh, yeah, well, no, because that was just...
That was Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. That was Goldblum before he became the Goldblum.
The Goldblum.
I wonder if there would ever be a Thompson-Goldblum,
should happen.
At this time, because she is... she's... Essentially, and I do not mean this in a to belittle her or to make her not her own person, but she is sort of the next Helen Mirren in terms of those British women who, of a certain age, become a kind of ballsy and exciting and relevant presence.
That's a very good description of what she has become. Yes.
In the sort of Judi Dench, Helen Mirren, Maggie Smith. We produce women of gusto and verve, is what I mean, from the British Isles.
Yes, I think that's...
And there is something that is, I think, in the last few years of pop culture, especially with the help of things like the Harry Potter and stuff like that. Imelda Staunton is another one.
Yes, she is another one.
Another one. What's the Julie Walters is another one.
Walters. What an excellent example.
It's a classic. But what I'm saying is, it's a mode. It's a mode I find very lovely and wonderful and exciting, and a memory of home. And Thompson is well on her way
which is why that's why I enjoyed the film so much, because she was the lead, and it was a real part, and regardless of how grumpy you are about the journey that the grumpy person went on, I did feel that as a character she went on a proper journey.
Yes, she did.
Throughout the movie, and at the end of it she was different, not necessarily better, but different, and certainly more aware of who she was and what she wanted.
So, essentially,
we can ask for, isn't it?
Very quickly with the plot, chicken over here, sir. Yes, thank you so much. Lovely. Look at that.
Great, fantastic. Thank you very much. Lovely, thank you.
Light.
Right, look at the bacon. Got a bit of my bacon.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that.
Look at your bacon.
It's not like sometimes you get bacon in American diners. It's like, I mean, it looks like it used to be bacon.
Right.
It's like a kind of a sculpture, like a hard. It's like burn. You know how like sometimes when you burn something really badly,
Yes.
it becomes
like
briefly a sculpture of what it was.
Yes, and then it
but to touch
disintegrates.
it just disintegrates
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's what bacon usually is in
And
America.
then
But this is beautiful.
there's fast food bacon, which I don't even know how that's made.
There's more bacon than burger. This is amazing.
Well, you should be happy about that.
I'm very
Would you
happy
like ketchup, Chief?
No, I think that would kind of spoil it.
The After Movie Diner with John Cross will return right after this.
On Van Dam Street in the pouring rain, they watched his window with eyes of flame. Inside, time was getting short. Cigarettes were being smoked to extinction. He violently wished not to have to go to the merry gentleman in the street below. Deep inside, he knew nobody chooses the hour of their damnation. He looked at his dog asleep on the bed and softly scratched its dreaming head. Deep inside, it was shouting down the moon in a war of attrition. But it stirred as he quietly dragged his shadow down the stairs that sagged. Inside, his dog put its face to the window and bared teeth that shone like salvation. The tumbling glass flickered eyes of flame on Van Dam Street in the pouring rain.
Are You Hurtling Towards God Knows What? A brand new book of poetry by J.E.A. Wallace, available now on Amazon. And we've made it easy for you. You can click through the banner link on aftermoviediner.com.
You're listening to the After Movie Diner with your host, John Cross.
All right, so, very quick. It's sort of The Devil Wears Prada about late night, but with a message more about diversity and femininity, sort of. It's a bit broader than that, but Mindy Kaling, who wrote and produced this, stars as a chemical factory worker who, through a contest, meets the...
Takes advantage of the way that modern corporations work, which is if you could work for a chemical plant...
Yes.
Right, is owned by a company...
That is owned by
another company that
also owns
a company that owns a company that owns a TV show.
Takes advantage of that fact, gets an interview at the only late night show hosted by a woman. What was it, Catherine?
Christ, I can't believe I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I don't know either. Whatever.
Tonight with Catherine something.
Tonight with Catherine something. That's what it was called. She gets a job there.
Her hero.
Her hero. She gets a job there. The ratings have been slowly declining for 10 years. The job is Emma Thompson's job, who plays Catherine something, is threatened. One of the ideas is let our writers' room not be such insufferable white young.
They're all mid-20s white, like Harvard-educated.
Yeah, Harvard-educated men, basically. And so Emma Thompson says to her producer, just hire me a woman. Mindy Kaling has come in. The only other option who comes up for the writer's job is a nepotism hire that would be the younger brother of a guy who already writes on the show. So the guy's like, fine, we'll hire Mindy Kaling, who essentially has no experience except doing little bits of stand-up here and there and hosting stand-up charity gigs and things like that. But beyond that, has not been a professional writer before. So... on one hand, it's a little 9 to 5. There's a bit of workplace comedy. There's a little bit like my boss doesn't like me. There's a fish out of water.
Yeah, fish out of water stuff. There's the plucky outsider. There's almost like a sports movie thing. Like it's almost a sports movie of like relative amateur comes to, down on heel team of professionals who don't like, outsiders. And makes good by being like plucky and fresh.
Right. And what's interesting is that the studio or the company is pushing Emma Thompson, who's always prided herself on integrity and excellence. They're pushing her to become more pandering, essentially, and they actually like throw a few zingers at Jimmy Fallon, being like, "Oh, we should play Large Connect 4 with them," or what did he say? They shaved a sheep together or something. It was delightful. But all that kind of horseplay and chicanery that happens on the Fallon show, they kind of take a few pot shots at that, quite rightly so. But they're encouraging her to become more pandering. Instead, Kaling says, don't become more pandering, become more honest, become more you. You're the only woman in late night. Why is it you're doing the same shtick that everyone else is?
There's an element of fantasy of like wishing your heroes would be.
Everything's okay?
Yes,
Everything is
lovely.
wonderful.
Very much, yes, fantastic. Wishing your heroes would be more outspoken. Wishing that someone would stand up. Wishing that they could be the people that you want them to be. So it's a bit of like, not exactly hero worship, but I think, a lot of people in power keep their head down about things, especially women in media, and I think there's an element of wish fulfillment of like, wouldn't we all be better off if we just would, but again, that's part of that's a TV thing too, right? There's like the film actor or the talk show host or somebody who like learns to be more themselves and less phony, and then they come to. It's got a lot of beats to it.
To be fair, the movie is it's produced by Amazon Studios, and while it is getting a theatrical release in New York and LA, and I think we'll probably go a little wider after that, it is made for Amazon, and with all of that, it is made to be like. You sat there on the couch, let's watch, and I tell you what I watched recently on Netflix, which is very similar, which was Wine Country, the Amy Poehler movie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which I actually really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah?
I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good. And high marks for Wine Country, really enjoyed it. But this falls very much into that. It's a nice, it's not the most cinematic of movies, as it mainly takes place sort of inside, and it's very nicely shot, very beautifully shot.
Makes New York look good.
Makes New York look good, and it certainly has that like Mike Nicholls sort of late 80s, early 90s kind of rom-com vibe about it.
They name drop Mike Nicholls specifically as well, don't they?
Yeah, which is nice. It's not.
Can I have a chip?
Go ahead.
Thanks, mate.
But the only reason I'm saying that. It would be a very cozy movie to like cuddle up on the couch and watch. That again sounds condescending. I'm realizing no matter what I say, it sounds like a dumb bloke being like, "Oh, really? This is just a movie to watch with your girlfriend." I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that. I'd happily cuddle up with Jim and watch this movie. It was.
I get what you're saying, because in the world that we're currently living in, right, where you go to the cinema for your IMAX 3D. $400 billion. We are changing the nature of cinema as you know it.
Right.
To see, two women go through a journey in a small workplace comedy feels like is that even belong to cinema anymore? But what I started thinking about half an hour into the movie, when I started really enjoying it, so see, these are the things that I want to go see.
Right.
Right, because for me, going out to the cinema is not like...
now you get to look really good, now you get to look like...
No, because this is what you're saying, right? What you're saying is that the reason this kind of film is like Netflix or Amazon or whatever is because that's who's making these movies.
Right.
Right? And so they're not... So they
Wine
know...
Country didn't even get a cinematic release.
Right, so naturally, it's the same as TV. You know people aren't going to watch it on a 50-foot screen. They're going to watch it. I mean, TVs are pretty big these days, but so it needs to look good. But it's about something else. It's like what films used to be about when they were, when people saw them in small little cinemas. Like it's about the story and the characters. It's not about like, but does it look spectacular? And is the score blowing my brain out the back of my head? It's like, is it a good movie? And this is a good movie. And I would far rather
I
go
agree
out
with
to
that.
the
I'm
cinema
sorry,
every
yes.
week.
I shouldn't have said any of that.
No, you were fine. All I did was tag along on the end of your.
I like that it's in the cinema.
Yeah. What?
I'm just saying. My point was more. We are used to seeing these things more in a Netflix, Amazon environment.
Right, but that's what they're being made for. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why.
And therefore, to see it on the big screen. Sorry.
You let that work.
No, I'm okay. Thanks.
To see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
Some extra napkin is here.
Thank you. To see it on the big screen was something different, and and not usual right now.
Dude, all I think you were saying, or at least what I heard, was most people aren't going to get a chance to see this in the cinema.
Right.
They're not. But that doesn't mean that it's not. Its natural place, what it was made for, was the small screen for Amazon.
Right.
They're giving a big release because they think it's good. And they're right, it is good. All I'm saying is I wish our cinema trips had more movies like this in them, but clearly the money's not there. Clearly people only want to see Avengers Endgame instead
But I would rather, the other thing is as well, and again, the movie makes its quasi-social political comments the best itself. I don't necessarily need to go into them here, although we should discuss them. I just mean,
but I think what's
feminism
good about
and diversity are obviously two major themes in the film. And what I was going to say, lately, you and I have been to the cinema and seen a lot of trailers for the only comedies they're really making right now in terms of like big screen comedies. And they all tend to be some version of a story we've seen before, whether it's Big or whether it's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels or whatever, but done now with female protagonists. And normally in that kind of, well, women can only be funny if they're loud, brashy, they fall over, smash things, or whatever. And again, I haven't seen either of the, I haven't seen the Anne Hathaway Rebel Wilson movie, and I haven't seen the Regina Hall movie, is it? Anyway, but, and I have no problem against loud and brashy, it's fine. Let the women do stupid knob gags the same way the guys do. But
The Spy Who Dumped Me was that, and I really enjoyed
The Spy
that.
Who Dumped Me, right. You really like that. And Spy, the Melissa McCarthy movie, and other films with Spy in the title, which we kind of enjoyed. Both better than Spies Like Us. So, but which has men in it, and now Matt Farley is turned off in disgust. He's like, Spies Like Us is a genius film. And I'm like, it's okay. First half's fine. Then it loses its way. Then it tries to be something it's not. Ishtar is genuinely better. Anyway, I've gone down a whole...
The opening 10 minutes of Ishtar, when they're writing a song together,
is amazing.
Is easily one of my favourite things to see.
But my point about this is that a lot of feminine-driven comedies right now, and I'm only labeling it as such because essentially that's what it wants to be. That's what it is, but that's what it's proud to be. And quite rightly so. But a lot of them are big, brashy redos of, like, men shit.
Right.
And what I like about this is that this is more your Nora Ephron, Nancy Myers, Penelope Spheris is one of them, I think. Penny Marshall, people like that. The witty, verbal...
Yeah, lovely, mate. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, you take it away. Smashing. Thank you very much.
You like some more water or something?
No, it'll be fine. Okay.
The witty, verbal...
Why is every waiter
city-based
in the diner convinced that you can put an old tea bag into hot water and, like, away you go? No, give me another fucking tea bag.
Anyway, so it was nice to see that.
Not for me, mate.
No, you
I
didn't.
only care about tea bags.
Okay. I have one comment.
Okay.
So, the movie's really good because the movie's interesting and different because it doesn't have a rom-com plot as its main driving force.
No, that's true. It doesn't.
which sort of any other film really in this vein would, I would imagine.
Well, arguably they sort of play with that a little bit, don't they? By kind of saying it's like a...
Well, they have the bad and they have the good.
It's like Mindy Kaling, to win her... to win Emma Thompson's heart. Like, there's like an element of that. Like,
right.
When she's talking to Seth Meyers about when she laughs, it's like 1,000 church bells. And,
right. So the love story is between them.
Yeah, kind of. I think they're deliberately playing with that. But you're right. I hadn't. You know what? That's another reason why it's so good. I hadn't even noticed that.
But that's not its driving force.
No.
That is in there. There is a, Kaling and...
But what's cool is that they kind of get that out of the way really quickly.
Right.
In the sense that, like, she starts seeing another writer, and it's like, oh, he's really smart and whatever. But right from the beginning, what's cool is it's obviously not right. But it's not a big deal that it's not right.
Right.
Even when she discovers and finds out it's not right, she doesn't break down or anything like that. She just doesn't talk to him, and that's kind of that.
So my favourite stuff about it was Emma Thompson and John Lithgow, who together are just amazing. Lithgow should just be in fucking everything at this point, and Emma Thompson should be in everything, and I loved everything they were doing. Kaling is like a great presence on screen. She definitely needs to lead up a bunch of movies and write, and the writing is excellent. The writing is fantastic, and it's not joke, and it's not what you're used to, which is that kind of New York humor, which predominantly was the sort of rom-coms and even family dramas of the 80s and 90s that we kind of grew up watching. It is a different voice, and it is a welcome voice, and that's and it has got stuff to say. I did feel, though, that in writing it, she wrote and understandably, but she wrote the best stuff and the most important stuff for Emma Thompson's character. And I actually felt, of all the things in the film that I had a problem with from a scripting or from a audience perspective, was that she sort of underwrote her own character. And I understand kind of why, because her character is there to serve a function for Emma Thompson's character, and also to highlight sort of what ends up being sort of a diverse writing room. But in general, I didn't feel in the movie that I knew who she was outside of what I'm just told about her. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of. I think it's just one of those things where...
I mean, not that I wanted her to be...
No. I get what you're saying, but I think that... I think it's because it was a movie of... that there were a lot of things going on, in that it has, outsider makes good, group of people learn, that new things aren't necessarily a threat, that there's just, it's more like...
And it was, to be fair,
no, but I'm just saying.
Cliched in that regard, not necessarily in a bad way, because that story needs to be told.
But what was interesting about it was stuffed full of lots of different strands. It wasn't just the underdog story. It wasn't just the person, learns to be true to themselves. It's not just... And also because, ultimately, Mindy Kaling doesn't change as a character. She changes to people around her. It's that kind of movie too, when someone turns up and who they are changes to people that they come into contact with.
Right.
But there's so much of that going on. There's so many of these storylines, all of which are really well played and really well paced. And there were lots of moments where I was smiling just because of how much I was enjoying what I was seeing. Not necessarily because something funny had happened, but I was just enjoying the process of watching the film of the movie. And there's so much of that. It's stuffed with that more than it is with a true character study of X. Or even Emma Thompson's character is you're told more about her pursuit of excellence than you see it. You see her at the tail end of that. We don't see a lot of her early career as like pursuit of excellence. She interviews some dry people and whatever. But again, a lot of it is like we don't have time to go into like character portraits of everybody. We just want these people at this point in their life living these storylines. So as a result, I know what you mean, but actually I felt like of all the characters, I knew her the best, probably more than Emma Thompson.
Do you know what?
That's just me.
The thing is, on the surface, as I was watching it, I was like, oh, I've seen this before, right? Mm-hmm. This is very well done, it's very well shot, it's very well blah, 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 but I've seen this before. And, this is a nice new take on it, and it's fine, it's funny, it's well done, but, like, in general, I've seen this before, and whatever it is. However, as it went along, the thing that this does most successfully, almost like a magic trick, is that it is able to speak about all its messages, of which it is full of messages, whether it's about women in the workplace, whether it's about diversity in the workplace, whether it's about age, whether it's about
privilege,
privilege, whether it's about modern culture and internet culture and so on and so forth. It manages to do that in a way that, first of all, doesn't hit you over the head with it. Secondly, feels natural, authentic. Like it feels like these are discussions that. Well, these are discussions we know are going on because we see them in the Twitterverse, or we see them in the newspapers, or we see them on the TV. But these are also discussions that are going on in the workplace, in offices, in writers' rooms, in whatever, around the country. The only other thing it doesn't kind of throw in there is the current political climate, and I think that would be one too many things for it to kind of handle.
I thought it was kind of smart to play. There was like one political joke. There was more of a feminist joke than anything. But you're right, because there was a bit of me was like, I hope it doesn't go like full, like it's right and it's left, and the left is right and the right is wrong, that kind of thing. Because then it's like, but you're right. It was smart because it wasn't about that. What was great about it. Every message it had, it was impossible to disagree with what it was saying. It was like there's no argument with any of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you'd think that about lots of things. You'd think that about, gays being happy.
But what I'm saying is, but if you present them with characters that are going through that struggle, right? And you have the audience identify with them and their story, then it becomes like a message like, oh yeah, well it's impossible to disagree with that.
Right.
Maybe it's some, nebulous, like, I don't know, legal level I could disagree with it. But what I'm saying is when you create a world where you care about the characters, because everything you're talking about, the messages you're talking about, it's like this is their lives that they're living. It's not like abstract. It's not legislative.
Right.
It's like the things she faces in the workplace and what they come to learn about who she is and what she can really do.
But she didn't do that thing of, and I've seen this in comedies that star all different people, but she didn't do that thing where, like, she was downtrodden.
No.
There wasn't any. The film at no point, either for laughs or whatever, looks down on her character.
No. Or where she's from.
But it also doesn't make an issue of where she's from either. There's a couple of jokes about, like, oh, it looks like an old middle-aged Indian woman lives here or whatever, but that's about it. It wasn't like...
But even in the factory, when they, like, cut back to her saying, like, what's your stand-up experience? And she tells a joke on the factory floor.
Right.
The people at the factory laugh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like she's come from a place where, like, she was happy and she belonged and they liked her. You know what I mean? It was like... where, like, it wasn't that she was downtrodden and, like, she can only belong here. It's like, the best place for this person to belong is in a writer's room of a comedy thing. You know what I mean? Not like she can only live there. It's just like, that's the best place for her.
Right, and it was just... The best thing I can say about the movie, which I think a lot of people will experience in different ways, because, like I say, it is... on the surface generic, while also being subversive.
Yeah.
The best thing I can say about it is the choices that it makes from a writing and production standpoint are very smart. Because it doesn't preach at you. It's not the movie of a Bill Maher-like comedian who is just female. It's not the story of, here are all my viewpoints on, menopause or abortion or, women in the workplace or sex or, Me Too or whatever it is. It touches all those points, but it touches them in a smart, more realistic way. While also being just a string of those points. Like the movie is it is just a string of those points right up until the affair and everything. It's just, how do we put a feminine flip on what Letterman had to do when he had an affair with his aide or whatever. But it does it in a smart, savvy way where it both addresses it but also just tells the story. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does, because you're right. Because again, at that point, you become less interested. You become what the effect of the affair is interesting because when it happens, you think, how's this going to affect Thompson and her husband? How's it going to affect the show? How's it going to affect Kaling and her dream? So there's this thing happens, and instead of being like, let's deal with this thing now, and we're going to concentrate on this, it's like, as in real life, like a thing happens, and it affects all these different things in all these different ways. And so, but what's amazing about the film, now that I think about it, is that I was as invested in all of those things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is Thompson and Lithgow going to make it? Is she going to get her show back? Is Kaling going to, figure out a way to, be on this show forever? Like, all those things that were threatened by this indiscretion. And I was invested in all of them equally. And that is very smart script writing if you're able to do that.
And I also think that, bringing it back to us,
As it should be.
be.
We are middle-aged white men.
Yeah.
What is this film going to do for us?
No, but I'm saying that I think what people like about us is our intrinsic honesty.
That's true.
And our, British voices. And I think what's interesting about this movie is Emma Thompson uses her British voice to be honest. I think that's why we're successful, like we know she's going to be successful down the road.
You're saying that eventually
Emma Thompson's going to sit in a diner on a rainy Thursday evening speaking to about 60 people.
So...
But she's going to be honest. And that's the key, mate.
But couldn't we have it be that she was that and then she became famous so that there's hope for us?
No.
So
We're just the
tail end of someone else's career.
Yeah.
And that's the best we can hope for.
Yes. What you should never have is hope. Hope is an absolute destroyer of worlds.
It's true, mate.
Look at all those people out there right now with hope that 2020 will go a different way, hope that all these laws and things will be overthrown, hope that... No. You have to embrace the fact that there is no hope and that the planet is just one big ball of messy bullshit and populated mostly by cretinous bastards. And we can either fight against that, but that sounds like a lot of work, or we can just kind of accept it and just turn a blind eye. And I think that is a movie. I'm joking.
But what's interesting about that and this movie specifically is that really the message of the movie is that what's happening with diversity and femininity and all that is it's not a wild revolution that's required.
No.
It's not going to change the world in any massive way in terms of the way things are done.
Right.
All it's going to change is that different people's voices will be heard.
Right.
And we will all be better for it.
Right.
That's it. Like that's the message of the film, if anything, is that everybody should Everybody needs to find their voice and have it heard, and we will all be better for that. That's the only hope we have.
Right.
Because you're right to point out that there is no shining city on the hill that we're all like walking towards. You know what I mean?
No.
It's always going to be a messy pile of shit that we're up to our ear holes in.
The reality of life is that it's an evolution, right? And evolution is always, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Or
We are
steps forward,
the giraffe with the short neck.
Right.
Going, what am I going to do about this then?
Yeah. Or the guy
And then
with
we
one
die.
neck. Yes.
Looking at a giraffe with a long neck going, he had the right idea.
He has the right idea. But
But we shouldn't hate him for having the right idea.
no.
Because his hope is well founded. Our hope was garbage.
Right.
That's what you've got to know.
But the frustrating thing about life is that the evolution doesn't happen quick enough, right? So the reason why the evolution happens.
Are you trying to solve life?
No, I've solved it.
All right.
The evolution happens.
I'm going to go with trying, but okay. I admire your confidence.
Let me finish.
All right.
The evolution happens.
But if I let you finish, then it'll be over. There'll be no point in anybody getting up tomorrow morning because you will have solved it.
No.
If anything, I'm saving us, mate.
No.
From a fate of being winked out of existence.
No, the whole thing.
Through you coming to finally the knowledge of what it is all about.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that you have to get up every morning. Let me explain.
Oh my god.
So.
You've turned that right round a bit.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
The evolution, the fact that we can look 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, whatever,
right,
and chart a course that is more or less on a graph pointing positive, right, going up, pointing positive, going forward.
You're getting a bit mathematical for me now.
No, we're all good.
No, we're all right. We'll take the
We're all
check,
good.
I guess.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah,
If you want to interrupt me departing the meaning of life
Thank you very much.
as an important wisdom with the check.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Now, or we pay up there?
Can you pay now? You can stay because I'm leaving. And
Oh, okay, yeah.
you close my checkbook.
Oh,
You
sure.
can stay, no problem.
Can we do cards?
Cash, card, debit, no problem.
All right. Can I complete my meaning of life?
No, I think it's done, mate. I think you had a chance. Well, that was fun. No, go on. What's your meaning of life? So evolution, on the graph pointing towards positivity, I believe is where you left it mathematically. On the graph pointing positively.
Going up towards a more, positive, unified, diverse.
The shining city on the hill.
Right. The reason why you can plot that graph over the last 1,000 years, or 10,000 years, whatever you want to do, is because people were frustrated that change wasn't happening quick enough.
Yes.
So everyone rolled up their sleeves and tried to make change happen right now. But then
other people, grumpy old people, went, that's too fast.
It's too fast.
It's too fast.
Can't make change happen now. Whoa, too fast, right?
They're putting numbers on cricket shirts, you know.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I am furious about. But anyway, crack on. I am.
No, all right. And I hate the word wellness. I think the word wellness should go fuck off in a bin with people who wear salmon shorts,
but here's the
practice
thing. Here's the
Reiki,
thing.
who are called
To be
tap.
fair, in America, I'm willing to bet that wellness is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
I'm sure.
And I mean wellness in the strictest bullshit
But
sense of
there's
the term.
literally buildings that are called the Health and Wellness Centre. You don't
Billions,
need the
mate.
second word, just Health Centre. Boom, done. That was it. Health covers all of it. Health covers
Mate, all you're
wellness
gonna-
is just a made-up
Mate, you're
bullshit
just
marketing
going to
word.
get people walking in there going, but where am I going to go about wellness? Is there a wellness centre you can
Is there a
point me
wellness
to?
centre? I don't need health. Health
Yeah,
I've got
health
plenty
I've got,
of.
but I need wellness.
How do I get that?
Have you got any wellness? Can I get $5 of wellness, please?
I see other
$5
people,
worth of wellness.
I see other people walking around
Yeah.
with plenty of wellness. I sat here sadly lacking. Anyway,
I remember when getting well used to mean taking heroin.
yeah.
Those were the days. Anyway, grass, mate.
They used to
grass.
They used to put.
You had them in your palm of your hand with the word grass.
They used to put.
Don't let them go, mate. Don't put them down.
Used to put cocaine in the soda. The whole world is evolution. So why join in? Well, the only reason.
Good question, mate.
The only reason the whole world is evolving is because we try to speed it up and in our efforts to speed it up, we push it forward in increments.
I think that's very wise, mate.
Which just basically means that life is a lot of fussing, a lot of fighting, and there's not a lot of time or something. No, that life is generally miserable.
No, there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friend.
I know. No, there is, though. That's the whole point. Life
Are you disagreeing with Sir Paul McCartney?
I am. And actually
That's probably for the best.
Actually, it was John Lennon.
No.
Life is very short and there's no time for fussing.
That's McCartney. That's We Can Work It Out. It's a McCartney song.
John sings that bit, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He does. I think you'll find.
Life is very short.
I think you'll find. That's the Lennon.
Maybe that is John.
That's the Lennon.
Maybe that is John.
Yeah, you're wrong. So anyway,
I think we all knew that was going to happen.
my point is this.
In a stand-up knockdown fight between you, me, and the Beatles,
Yes.
you're going to win.
I'm going to win.
And the Beatles are mostly dead.
But I'm. Well, that's another thing. The Beatles are mostly dead. Get hope out of your vocabulary and wellness. Get wellness and hope, throw them out.
Yeah,
the
but if
window.
they were alive, then they'd be disappointing us.
So, my point is this. What we have to wake up to is life is ultimately messy, cruel, unfair, full of fussing and fighting and pushing and shoving that feels like it's getting us absolutely nowhere.
When it is, in fact, getting somewhere. No, that's very wise.
Ultimately, it's getting us
It
somewhere.
doesn't. To look at him, you wouldn't think that wisdom would be coming your way anytime soon, but that was.
Yeah.
That was actually quite wise.
Yes. So that's why I go back to being grumpy, being fussing and fighting. It's all a good thing. However, you were right about this movie, Late Night, What Twitch we were just talking about.
Yeah.
The ending where you see a more diverse workplace, right? And a slightly more successful Emma Thompson and whatever. The world hasn't completely changed. No pillars have crumbled.
Right. There's still that show being made and written by
all the writers, all the male writers still have jobs during that montage at the end of it. She's still working with the head monologue writer. In fact, they're kind of romantically involved at that point. And it's saying in a very neat way, it's not about get rid of all of you guys and replace them with us. It's about we just want the opportunity to do what you're doing.
Also, and now I think about it, actually,
and be considered equal.
The whole thing really is like with Emma Thompson. It's not about
sort of wonderfully beautiful.
It's not about change.
It's about being yourself.
It's about being yourself and being honest. And everybody in that room, like the writers' room, when she walks in, if they were honest with themselves, they would know she needs to be that. They would know that. They're frightened and they're scared and they push it away with this is just a diversity hire and whatnot. But if they were honest, they would know that the room needs that.
Right.
And that's all it is. It's just we just need to learn to be honest and not fear the change that becoming honest brings. No, leave it there, mate. We're fucking done.
No.
Philosophy is over.
Yeah,
I just fixed it.
We just fixed it. You just fixed philosophy.
Philosophy.
Here. However, there's one small kink in your thing.
Is it Dave Davis?
No, it's that.
Although he's quite a big kink, isn't he?
Quite a big kink. No, mate. The problem with your thing is that really what you just surmised is the last thing that the world really needs right now is another podcast about movies hosted by two white guys.
Yeah, but can I just point out something? What's beautiful about the podcast that's hosted by two white guys, two middle-aged white guys, doesn't matter that nobody cares. Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. No.
We know nobody cares. We do it because it's a fun, nice thing to do. And it gives us a little bit of purpose.
It does.
And it allows us to talk
now,
openly and honestly about without us feeling like horribly pretentious bellends.
Now, when you say...
Talking too loudly in a diner about the ultimate underlying meaning of the movie Late Night.
When you say it gives us a little bit of purpose, you're almost overselling it. It gives
That's true. All right, it gives me a little bit.
It gives us a freedom molecule.
Being in your presence, mate.
Of purpose is what it gives
Being
us.
in your presence is a freedom molecule.
It's a freedom molecule of purpose. And on that, I think, beautiful note, warm, caring, sincere note. I'm still going to sit down and write a movie in which someone starts off as quite a happy person, realizes the world is terrible, ends up grumpy, and yet strangely succeeds. Not that that is my experience.
If you could write it, mate, I'll be prepared to watch it.
Would you, though?
Yeah, I would.
Would you actually?
Dude, if you wrote a movie and then made it, I feel like even if it was the worst thing ever committed to celluloid, I would, and it may well be.
It would be.
It would
100%.
I would still watch it, and I think you would feel rightly aggrieved if I couldn't find an hour and a half of 75 minutes.
Yeah.
No way you write a script. Do you know what I mean? Longer than 75 minutes.
No.
Without just like breaking down and weeping.
Uh-huh.
Right, well, that was fun. Shall we go?
Yeah, sure. Go late night. Watch it.
Definitely watch it.
Definitely watch it.
On Amazon, presumably.
Oh, yeah, I did have a comment. Amazon's film logo is a city being built, finally ending up on a beautiful cinema screen with Amazon Studios written over it, which couldn't be further from the truth. Amazon don't want you to go to cinemas. They want you to watch it on
really
Amazon
should be like
Fire
a grumpy
TV.
bloke. Like ringing your buzzer, making you come to the door, handing you a package, unwrap it, and inside there's a DVD with Amazon Studios written on it.
Right, yes.
And like a mouse.
Or a Fire Stick with a tag attached to it that just says, you work it out. Can't be bothered, and then you have to put in your TV and figure out how that fucker works. But
we cut this bit as well.
No, they don't pay taxes, and yet so their wanton dream of like building the city of the future around an Amazon theater is just.
I think we should cut this bit. Right?
Bullshit and lies. No, I'm saying it's bullshit and lies. I
just don't think it's as fresh a take as you think it is.
No, it is. It's a fresh, hot take.
It is not a hot, fresh take. It is a...
It's going to become the backbone of my new stand-up special. Hot, fresh take.
Hot, fresh take with a cold old man.
Well, what I always like is on Twitter, there's always people who are like, hey, give us your fresh take on Batman or something. And I always write, I fucking hate Batman. And then that's always my hot take. My hot take is always, fuck off. That's a perfect ending.
That's not
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that very special preview episode of the After Movie Diner where we talked Late Night, a film which is coming out in New York and Los Angeles on June 7th and will be going nationwide the following week. I'm not sure what date it is going to be hitting Amazon, but I must presume, as it was produced by Amazon Studios, that it will show up on Amazon Prime at some point before the end of June as well. Strongly suggest go see that movie. If you want to support the After Movie Diner, do not forget you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/After Movie Diner. You can also rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and wherever podcasts are found. We are now on iHeartRadio, and we're also on Spotify. So come on, there's no excuse not to listen. There's no excuse not to share, like, comment, rate, review, and all those things. It is so quick and so easy to just retweet something, like something, comment on something, or tell your friend about it. It's so easy, it's so quick, and it's completely and utterly free. However, if you wish to support us in some financial way, patreon.com/After Movie Diner is the way to go. Or you could go over to Misc Plumbing Fixtures, that's MISC plumbingfixtures.bandcamp.com, and buy or download some of my songs or albums. That is always awesome. And a good way for you to support the show as well. Speaking of miscellaneous plumbing fixtures, here is yet another demo track. I've been playing kind of like demos and ideas and thoughts and stuff on the end of the After Movie Diner of songs that I've been recording recently on my electric guitar Constance. And yesterday I recorded a couple of things. So here is one of them, and the next song will be on next week's show. Thanks so much for listening. Next week, we will be bringing you another special preview episode of Jim Jarmusch's zombie comedy with a starry cast, The Dead Don't Die. So subscribe, hit that subscribe button, whatever you're listening to this on, so that you do not miss out on that very cool episode featuring Zebras in America podcast host Marcus Pinn, also the author of the great blog Pinland Empire. So check that out. Anyway, until then, enjoy this demo song, and we will be back next week. Thanks so much for listening. All the best.
everything nice and clear. But this anger I have can never be sated. The market is saturated. I push through the downturns, look up at the marquee, see all of the names up there, and one of them is me. And the importance of this can never be understated. The market is saturated. The market is saturated. Feeling for the footholds. Sometimes you're bound to slip. Edge closer to the peak. Gotta get a grip. Sometimes you're the harness. Sometimes you're the rope. Send pictures down the mountain like it's all okay while you're struggling to cope. I could never be something I was not, and I have no time for those who spoil the plot. I put up my tent and flag. This'll do for the night. Attract some attention by keeping it strange and light. And these questions I have